All right, it's Thursday, March 9th. This is an end of the day SPY recap, and today we end up with a big red bar that closed near the lows of the day. It's an outside bar. We took out the high the previous day, moved to the halfway point of that day, then took out the low of that day, and then continued a lot further. So some bigger picture targets. And really, none of this is surprising when you keep in mind the context that's been in play the whole time. First of all, from last week, we had the 3 bar to the upside, so that was just broadening action. And we discussed right from the beginning, are we going to get continuation, or could this then maybe work all the way back down, to the bottom of this megaphone? And on the very first day of the week, Monday, we had our reversal day, and we had our yellow line here signifying the open. So as long as we were below that line, we're going to be bearish all week. So we went down pretty big on Tuesday. Then we had a pause day yesterday. And coming into the session today, I shot a pre-market video saying how I would attempt, the upside if we get a breakout above the pre-market high. But on any kind of failure, that could be even a stronger signal to the downside. And then I shot another video showing on this is the 15-minute chart. Right here, I put a morning video out that if we can't take out that intraday high after starting up a little bit on this secondary move, if we can't take out that intraday high and came back down through the open, then that would be a definite potential failure reversal signal. And at that point, you bought puts and went short. You then monitored once you came to the halfway point of the prior day, there was a high likelihood you were going to take out the lows of the prior day. And then once you got down there, all of a sudden, the whole concept of the weekly chart kicks in, where you kind of failed on the upside there, took out the midpoint of that week, which we kind of did yesterday, but we were almost holding in that area. But now that we were coming down strong, we were clearly below the midpoint of the prior week, which then takes us to the low of the prior week on Thursday. So it took 4 days to get a 3-bar up and then a 3-bar down. And again, once it started lower, it's not like you knew for sure it was going to head down there, but your bias at this point right here was only to the downside to buy puts, maybe to take out, the intraday, the pre-market lows and then yesterday's low. But if you just kept going, you realized in the bigger picture on the weekly chart, you were heading down here. So again, not surprising at all. We crossed this key yellow line. We turned the monthly chart red now. We've been talking about that ever since March 1st. We had 1 day down, and then we kind of rallied a little bit. But once it started failing, we always said, let's beware of this turning down, because it's a 2-down month that has targets down to here for the rest of March. So now we're biased to the downside for the monthly chart, for the weekly chart, and obviously for the daily chart. Now, we broadened out on the weekly chart. So just like on the upside, the question is, how much continuation are you going to get into next week? Could it be a 3-2 continuation? I think the odds are strong that happens, given that the monthly chart, you're in sync with the monthly chart now. So on the upside, you weren't really in sync with the monthly chart to the upside. Now on the downside, on the 3-bar, you are in sync for 3-2 continuation. So even if we pause a little bit tomorrow or into early next week, at some point, we're still likely heading lower, but we'll get into that. So again, today, the big red day to the downside. And the thing is, we were definitely in line, even though on the first move up on the day, I talked about how I was going to take some long trades. I actually traded pretty well going for some individual stocks. I bought Amazon here at the beginning and had gains, and I bought Microsoft. And those were two, nice trades to the upside as the market started out. But once it failed, everything rolled over. So, then it was time. There were all kinds of ways to look for stocks to the downside, and hopefully, anyone trading took advantage of that, because there was a lot of opportunities with stocks. So anyway, we end up big red tomorrow. We have a lot of a big news item tomorrow that's going to cause crazy volatility. I can't say for sure what to expect, since we've taken out daily and weekly targets, on Thursday. I don't know for sure if we're going to get strong follow through, but it's very possible. So at this point, let's just see how things open tomorrow when we get a big economic number at 7:30 in the morning. So let's see where that takes us. But for today, again, 3-day to the downside. And when you kept in mind the context of what we were talking about all along, not surprising that it had a lot of continuation all the way to take out those weekly lows.